I was having a therapy session with Suzanne in therapy with Suzanne, about narcissism and inferior complex, and I decided to not post that video because I melted down. And it scares me, really scares me to melt down. Even though I didn't say anything else than I usually tweet, it's still, I don't want to post that. But I think I'm gonna go through it one more time to see because I think this can be interesting to people, and I think it also can be good for me to go through it one more time. And because I have this inferior complex and an imposter syndrome, and I have had this since I was a child. And I remember as a child and young adult, teenager, young adult, when I was still living at home, I remember having these breakdowns, these really breakdowns where I was crying and screaming that I was poisonous and that people shouldn't touch me because I would die if they touched me. And yes, this is from my parents, because my parents told me that I ruined them, that if I wasn't alive they would be happy. They did tell me that, and I can't, if I want to talk about this inferior complex, I can't talk too much about that because that is my parents at their most evil. So I'm gonna melt down if I talk about that. But let's get back to the inferior complex. So the inferior complex, the imposter syndrome, it's narcissism, and it comes from my childhood, but it also has been, it's a lot of causes. It's not just one cause. One cause is my parents, but it's also a lot of other causes. And let me first describe it, how it has looked like in adult years and what I have done to live with it. In the ballet shoes video, I was talking about how I was masking this idea that I were not allowed to dance ballet. I was masking that idea with body positivity. I was using this cause, body positivity, that also fat women are allowed to dance ballet. I was using that as my mask. And then it all, of course, is very absurd because I probably looked like a dancer because I was dancing. I just wasn't dancing so much ballet. And I had my full right to dance ballet, no matter my body size. So it wasn't any kind of fight I needed to fight, but I used the body positivity movement as my mask of what I believed about myself. And I believed that I was too fat to be a ballet dancer. And this other inferior complex, or the same inferior complex, I want to talk about now, and this is take 2 because I melted down. That the mask of that inferior complex has been that I have used equality, the principle of equality, as the mask of me being inferior, even though I, according to the law, is equal to others. And one way this has shown up in my life is that, just an example where it went wrong. I was working at the biggest theater in my city. And back then, now, more than 20 years later, it doesn't look like this anymore, but back then there was a very important distinction between the actors and actresses that were educated at the theater, the Academy of Theatre in Oslo, or in London or New York or wherever, and then the extras that were just we had very low education or wrong education and so on. But now, more than 20 years later, it's just like that was not any kind of difference, real difference. There was a difference in pay grade, naturally, and there was also a difference in how much you were on stage. But to be an extra at the Nationale Scene, it's not like being extra number 2000 in a huge movie and you're in it in one scene. No, I was the opening in one of these plays I was in. I was the opening. I was the first person on stage. And I was also on the front of the stage. I was the person who was closest to the audience in some of these scenes. And I was half naked, and I was very, very visible. I was kind of very in your face with the audience. So it's not, that's something very different from being an extra number 2000 in a huge, huge, huge movie and nobody can see you. So it's not that big of a difference, but back then it felt like this really, really big difference that I was not educated in Oslo. And then I remember being at a bar together with a friend, and there were no available tables for us. And then I saw an actor who was employed at the Nationale Scene. And I decided, and I knew my inferior complex told me that I had no right to talk to him because I was inferior to him. But I decided to take on my equality mask, and I went over to their table and I said, "Oh, hi, we work at the same place. Can we sit with you guys?" And that was one time that it didn't go particularly well because he became fairly grumpy, and he obviously saw himself as better than me, that he was an actor and I was just this extra, and he had never really heard of me, and so on and so on. And that hit hard, because I was of the same opinion that I was inferior to him. So that's one example. But I have also, during my life in academia as a student and working in academia at the University of Bergen and University of Tromsø, I had this same inferior complex, but then I decided, once again, to use this mask of, I have the right to do everything everybody else has the right to, this mask of equality. And then I used that mask, I just put on that mask, and then I went to talk with lecturers and talk with professors and talk with big names. And we have these visiting professors from other countries, and I was just going straight up to their table in the lunchroom and just like, "Hi, can I sit with you and talk with you?" And that was kind of how I just climbed in academia. And the more I did that, the less inferior complex I had. So my mask kind of just, I was actually equal. I had the full right to go and knock on the doors to professors and ask them about things. And, that's how you are a student. So I had the right, just as with the ballet shoes, I had the full right, but I believed I didn't have the right, but I decided to just have the right anyway by using this mask. And the more I used this mask, the less it became a mask and the more it became reality. So the more I pretended to be a worthy colleague, the more I was a worthy colleague. So in 2017, when I, together with my ex-husband and my sister, we started working on this business where we would offer analysis and supervision, and I had to go on arbeidsavklaringspenger, but I'm still retired from that job, but I am retired from that job. I'm actually retired from a supervisor job. So I am on the top of my career, and I got there by masking my inferiority complex until I no longer had an inferiority complex. So in 2017, I was still behaving like I was just equal to all the experts in the world. So I was just, if there was somebody I wanted to talk with, I just sent them an email or just contacted them on Twitter or Facebook or YouTube or wherever. I just I was just in this mindset of, I'm Suzanne, I can contact anyone because I'm on their level, and I'm contributing to this world, and we are in this together, and we're like, yeah, we're colleagues. But then 2017 to 2021 happened, and I got this real hit of multi-abuse, where I was abused by my ex-husband, I was abused by Sigurd Imsen, and I melted down in the previous take of this video because of him. I was abused by the public system, I was abused by friends, I was abused by my family. It was kind of this, people just, it felt, I'm gonna melt down if I talk too much about it. So I'm not gonna do that, but it really was like this, it really felt like the world had been waiting for just a moment where they could just, then I was on arbeidsavklaringspenger. I was certainly not working anymore, and I fell to the ground on the hierarchy, and yay, everybody could just murder me. That was like this. It was like the world had waited for a moment to just take me down, because for some reason I was hated, and I still don't know why, because I'm like, what have I done to people? I have done zero to people, and I can't talk about that. I have to talk about it in another video, but it is interesting that people have this extreme rage towards me, that is transference and projection and so on, because I had literally done zero wrong to other people. And by that, I don't mean that I'm this perfect angel. I'm not. But I mean that if you compare me to others in Norway, if you compare me to others in academia, if you compare me to others in the public system, if you compare me, I'm just like this very plain, normal, low-level, low-key person who has not done anyone anything. It's weird. It's very, very weird. But yeah, people had an extreme level of rage towards me, as if I had done them something, and I haven't. But okay, I can't talk about that. I was supposed to talk about the inferior complex. Yeah, and then I have all this anger in me, and I'm like, I shouldn't talk about it in this session. I'm supposed to talk about the inferior complex. It's a bit difficult, but okay, the inferior complex. What happened then between 2017 to 2021 with me was that, because it turned out to be so dangerous for me to have contact with other people, I once again automatically reverted back into this defense where I felt inferior to other people. and not just feeling inferior to other people, but also so inferior that me contacting other people is basically a crime. So if I, in my head, this is not, just to state it, this is not Norwegian or international law. So if you now believe that what I'm saying gives you the right to abuse me if I contact you, I just have to say that no, that's not how it is. This is just how it has become inside of me. In this video, I am doing a therapy session with myself. I'm not giving legal advice here, people. So do not attack me, okay? I can't protect you in the court if you attack me. Okay? Okay. Talking to you like if you are there. Yeah, so what happened in me was that now in my head, and it's still like this in 2026, that now in my head, I consider myself so extremely evil that if I contact another person, I have done a crime. It's a crime for me to say hello to another person. So that gives me a type of OCD, just to tie it into the OCD debate. That gives me a type of OCD where I feel an urge, and I feel it like pathology. I feel an urge to contact other people. I say to myself, when I feel that urge, I say to myself that this is pathology. And the reason why it's pathology is that I am so evil that if I contact somebody, that is a crime done by me. So then they are allowed to retaliate and revenge and attack me and report me to the police and basically just actually murder me. And so it's this very strange, weird distortion that happened because of 2017 to 2021, that period of my life. So first, I came from a childhood that gave me this quite severe inferior complex, but it also gave me other defenses. And then I came up in my adult years, and in the theater world, in the ballet, theater, dancing world, that creative world, I was not able to, and I actually still struggle with this. If I see old colleagues, I still have this in the theater world, I still have this difficulty with saying hello to them. So in the theater world, in that career area, I never was able to actually use masking to get ahead. But in academia, I was able to use this mask of equality to fight my own inferiority complex. And the more I used the mask, the less it became a mask and the more it became reality, because I actually climbed up to where I ended in 2017, and where I was fully in my right, and I actually believe that too, that I was fully in my right to contact anybody and everybody, and I was in my right to be interviewed in the newspapers, and I was in my right to write papers and write letters to the editor and blah blah blah. I was fully in my right to contact other experts around the world in any kind of field, on Twitter or YouTube or Facebook, or I was very active. I was a very, very active person in 2017. So the more I used the mask, if the mask if the mask kind of turned out to be successful, it wasn't, I didn't manage to find the correct mask in the theater world. But in the academia world, I managed to find the correct mask. And the more I used the mask, the less it became a mask, and the more I just lived in reality. But then 2017 to 2021 happened, and I was really knocked back into this narcissistic defense. And now I'm still in it, but it's getting better. Now I'm masking by being myself. My new mask is just to be me. That's my new mask. And what I'm then, but I'm feeling it like this OCD. I'm feeling it like an OCD, and it's not a harm OCD per se. It's different from the harm OCD, but it still feels like harm OCD to me, because in harm OCD, in real harm OCD, if I should call it that, then I'm actually afraid of picking up an object and hitting an innocent person with it. That's real harm OCD, because if I actually do that, it will harm the other person. But in this defense mechanism, the harm OCD that is not real harm OCD is me believing that I am such a horrible, awful person that I am literally causing harm to other people if I say hello to them. If I like your tweet, or I'm on the level now where I can like tweets without that stressing me too much, but it's still kind of there. So if I like your tweet, or if I comment on your tweet, or if I, God forbid, sent you an email, then in itself, because I'm such a horrible, evil person, that in itself will cause you harm. And that's not real harm OCD, because it won't cause you harm, not in any way. You can just either just talk to me like I'm a colleague or somebody interested in your work, or you can just ignore me or block me. You know, it's not, it hasn't caused you any kind of harm if I show up and say hello. If I send you an email and say hello, it has not caused you any kind of harm. But in my head, it has. And I know this is not, I can talk about it, so I know it's not true. But this is still the defense mechanism I am in after 2017 to 2021. That I believe that my existence is causing harm to other people. So if I just stay over here, okay, you can see me, but as long as I don't talk to you, you are safe. As long as I'm here, that's, I can do that. But if I start to talk with you, you are harmed. And that makes me feel this wish to actually participate in the debates and discussions and environments I used to naturally contribute to. I was a colleague. I was me. I was just one of the people who can talk about these different things in different fields. Now I forgot what I was going to say. Totally forgot what I was going to say. But yeah, let's just try to get back into it. Yeah, so it's the belief that I'm harming people if I contact them. I am harm. The belief is that I am harmful. So if I contact people, they will be harmed. So if I want to contact people, if I feel the wish to contact people, for example, if I listen to a podcast and I think, oh, I would like to participate in that podcast, or I would like to send them a comment, something, then I believe that will be harmful to them. So if I contact people, they will be harmed. So because of that, I understand, I feel my, not understand, but I feel my own wish to contact somebody as a pathological urge. And when I feel that pathological urge, which is not pathological at all, but I feel it like a pathological urge, I become so scared that I start doing the OCD treatment thingies. So I react to that urge, which is not an urge, it's just normality, but I react to that as if it was harm OCD, as if it was in the same category. So me clubbing down an innocent person and me writing a comment to someone on YouTube actually feels as serious. So, and now I'm on my way back from that just by masking. I'm masking this by using myself as a mask. To just say that I am Suzanne Natobro. I am what I am, which I am. So I have this, although I'm retired from this specific job that is to offer analysis and supervision to any kind of organization or institution or profession. So I am that because I'm retired from that job. So that is my job. That is what I'm still working on, relearning, because I have memory problems. I have to relearn things. So that is what I'm still doing every single day. And because I'm a workaholic, I'm doing it every single day. I'm struggling with that workaholism. It's just how it is. I don't know if I can ever not be a workaholic, but I'm trying. I'm still trying. 2026, I'm still trying. It's not good for me. It's not good for my body to be a workaholic, but okay. So I'm taking what I actually am and using that as my mask, as I have always done, but now I'm more conscious of that it is a mask. So, but I hope that the same effect will occur from back then, that if I just masked long enough, if I used reality to mask my distorted belief, in the end it became reality. So that's what I'm doing, yeah. Okay, I'm not sure what I was... Let me just end it here. I am masking my inferiority complex with reality. Okay, bye.